Friday morning, everyone, to all of our social friends who are sharing your time with us in this episode of Real Living in Bridgeport. Whether you are watching this as a live stream or getting this as an on-demand recording, welcome to you today. First thing first, the weather has absolutely changed for myself and my co-host Warren. It's like a 20-degree drop. Hey, welcome to winter. Sorry, not winter yet. Welcome to obviously fall, and hopefully it's a slow transition to winter. That's at least my personal wish. All of that being said, let's check on Warren and make sure he's ready to go with us. And as part of getting Warren all jazzed up, and I'll tell you why in a little bit, we got to get his energy all pumped up. He's been fighting a little bit of what I call the bug. So let's get his fan base to give him a rip-roaring applause and welcome. Here goes. There you have it, Warren. They're cheering you on, buddy. All right. How you feeling today? Better, right?
Hi, Bill. Yes, definitely. I'm getting better now.
Yeah, you sound better compared to the other day when we connected by phone. And for those of you who are, big believers in herbal medicine, maybe you're not. Warren, you had to do the obvious thing, which is, hey, skip herbal medicine, skip the 𝙍𝙬 process. I got to get the Western medicine in my body today, right?
Right. I need the quick patch, kind of like the Band-Aid.
You need the quick fix, the jolt, so that you can get back to your normal routine and business and so forth.
Yes.
Yeah, right on. So I'm glad to know that you're at least trending on the positive side of feeling better. Like I said, you sound better. You sound absolutely better compared to the other day. I was worried about you. All right. Let's lead off our conversation today, Warren, with info from you, your expert opinion as to, hey, what are the current trends and what is the current market update as to real estate in the neighborhood of Bridgeport here in Chicago?
Well, right now in Bridgeport area, the market is slowing down instead of speeding up, which it was previously, because recently rates, instead of going down, has been increasing. Yes. So people are probably just waiting and see where rates are going to go. Right. And then also the election's coming up. So I think people are just getting ready to vote and wait for the elections to be over before they make the next big move.
Yeah, I do believe in some of those external factors that kind of shift people's mindset, right? And to your point, you're absolutely right. What is it, 6 or 8 weeks ago, when there was the announcement of the rate drop, it was a big head fake. Warren. It actually moved the market of mortgage money in the totally opposite direction. So I get that. For others that are choosing to wait on the sidelines, you're probably choosing to kind of see what's going to happen next. So things are slowing down. Do you see more properties coming onto the market, or at least the conversations taking place right now first?
Not too much. I mean, it's still like a very slow market. I would still say it's a seller's market. But right now inventory is still very sacred. Like, it's very low. Like, still not a lot of people are selling, probably because of like the high rates. Because they were all thinking that, once the Fed is gonna lower interest rate, the mortgage rate is gonna go down as well. But then, because of the strong jobs report,
exactly,
everything went to the opposite direction.
Exactly, because of the strong jobs report and supposedly inflation, the cost of things improving. I don't know about you. There are certain pockets where I don't see it improving yet, but I guess that's the test in front of us. The test of our patience, so that we can feel it in our pocketbook, right?
Right. And
Yeah.
holidays are coming up as well. So I think people were just like waiting for the holidays to be over with.
Yeah, it's true that we got the two. We worked through the first of the three holidays, right? Halloween behind us.
Right.
And then we have the other two big holidays right around the corner. Speaking of that, don't forget, shout out to all of you audience members. Daylight savings time is ending this weekend. Are you a big fan of that, Warren?
No, I'm not.
I am not either.
It tends to throw off like people's sleeping schedule.
Yeah.
And then I heard that it's also bad because most people get sick like from a heart attack.
Oh, really?
Because of the time change, because like the hour that they lose or they
Yeah.
gain, it
Yeah.
affects their sleeping pattern that they're so used to.
Okay. Wow. Haven't heard that one. But like you, yeah, I'm not a big fan of this daylight savings time change. I much rather let Mother Nature do its thing.
Right.
Right? All right. So thank you for dropping your expert opinion, the data around, what's currently happening in the business of real estate. What I want to now do is move the conversation to a topic I'm sure you face and I face at times when we work with our clients, and that is, do I buy new construction or do I renovate an existing property? And I know you have experience working with clients doing kind of both. Can you share from your perspective as their buyer's broker, what do you hear them tell you when they decide, I'm going to lean more toward buying a brand new home or building a brand new home? What do they tell you?
Well, there's obviously the different type, like you said, like one prefers like doing everything themselves, like a renovation, and then the other they prefer to buy new. So basically, people with a lot of time on hand, they would do everything themselves. Like they get to pick their own material. They could hire an architect and then like do their own finishes, change the layout, whatnot, and like get everything to their liking.
Right.
Buying a new construction is something that people don't want to get involved too much with. They just want something like brand new. They want to like, oh, I want to get this finished, this. Like if you go to like buying in the suburbs, they just tell you like, oh, there's these two finishes. Which one do you prefer? Like either you stick with like the standard with no money added, or like you add like a couple $1,000s for like hardwood floor stairs instead of like carpet stairs, or like faucet and things like that. Depends on if you want to like spend more money, less time, or less money, more time.
Right. True. So you're saying for that segment of buyers that lean more toward new construction, it's because they don't want to complicate their lives. They just want, hey, I just want to choose Happy Meal number 1, 2, or 3. Let me go.
Right. They just want to move in something quick. They don't have to like get too much hands involved.
True. What about then your clients that lean more toward renovating an existing property? Maybe it's anything from a light renovation to a full-blown gut rehab. What do you hear them share with you as to why they lean that way?
It's mainly because like they want to control the stuff that they pick. Because like the quality wise, I mean, if you do new construction, everything is pretty much said and done unless you're the one building it. But renovation wise, you have literally full control. Like you decide what kind of material, you decide how you want to design the house from layout to basically from bottom up. It's
Okay.
all under your control. So you spend more time doing everything yourself. It's more hands-on compared to like new construction.
Yeah, yeah. In your personal opinion, which path is harder?
I would say new construction is harder if you are building it yourself. But
Yeah.
if you're buying it, then it's probably easier, because if you're doing it yourself, you would have to like get permits yourself and this and that. It's more time consuming.
Right.
But if you do renovation as a buyer doing it yourself, then obviously you just need to hire a contractor, depending on if you need to get permits for a certain work. It's a shorter time frame.
Okay. All right. However, I'm going to lean in here and kind of offer my opinion. I think sometimes doing a renovation, especially if it's not a light renovation, if it's close to a gut rehab, I think it can be harder because, you know, you never know what you're going to get. Using that same phrase from the movie Forrest Gump, you're never going to know what you're going to get. Once you open up walls, you could get one mess that leads to another that becomes you know, a big expense, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I agree.
So yeah. So anyway, to each their own. And that's why for you and for me, you know, when our clients lean on us to help them, the good part of it is, hey, we can help you with either path, but let's make sure that it makes sense, right? Sometimes you know, this happens. Sometimes our clients go down a particular path with us, and then halfway through or 2/3 of the way through, they completely pivot, change their mind, say, oh, screw that, Warren, we're going to do this now. Right? That happens.
Yes, it happens.
But all right. So let's now move our conversation, today's episode, into the topic of multi-generational housing. So first and foremost, Warren, what's your personal opinion to that? Care to drop your opinion?
Well, there's pros and cons. I'm like in between. Like there's good points and then there's bad points. So to me, the bad points is you don't have any privacy.
Yeah.
And then like depending on what happens with you and your family, like your other family members might know or hear. Like if you have like an argument or like you're trying to lecture kids, doing things, that's privacy basically. No personal space, like not enough personal space for yourself.
Got it.
But there's a lot of pros as well. Like you have a lot of extra help. You don't have to make dinner. Like you eat with family members. It's either you cook for the whole family or the whole your other family members who are free cook for the whole family. Someone to help you watch the kids if you want to go on a date night with your significant other.
Yeah.
And then there's probably someone to help like take care of the house, make sure that everything is okay when you're not at home.
True. You know, the one thing that sometimes can impact you and me is having to wait. You know what I'm going to say in a little bit. Having to wait for those service providers, like let's pick on someone like internet broadband service provider, where they won't give you a tight enough window of time as to when they're going to show up. And guess what? Right? If you're the only person that lives in that household, then you got to make sure you got to work your schedule around that event. Versus what you're saying is, when you live in a multi-generational household, you can lean on your family members to say, hey, I gotta go out. I got something I gotta do. Can you stick around and meet with that service provider? Correct.
Right.
I hear you. What are some financial considerations? Can you speak to that when it comes to multi-generational living, home ownership, you know, and so forth?
Well, I mean, financially, it's definitely a plus because like you save the money for daycare.
True.
Like if especially for like young babies and toddlers, you save a lot of money from daycare because daycare nowadays it's pretty expensive.
Yeah.
And then also having a senior, like I think having multi-generation, it's also very convenient because like when you buy stuff, you buy it in bulks. Like if you go to Costco, everything is in bulks. So like you can
Yes.
definitely like split the cost and share it with other family members. That's definitely
Right.
a plus. And then also like other expenses like property taxes and like monthly mortgage payment. They could share that burden with you.
Yeah.
And even if they decide to move out, I mean, you could just rent the place out, and it also helps with costs. So financially, it's not a bad decision.
Yeah. Very, very, very true. I know in our culture, right? Your culture, my culture, same culture. It's more common for our culture to consider, if not just commit to multi-generational housing and living, because it's just for hundreds of years that's always been kind of the mantra, I think, within our culture. Do you agree?
I completely agree. It's always the younger ones take care of like the seniors, and then like the seniors, if they are able or capable of, they would help take care of the younger children. So it's like
Yeah.
a cycle.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a cycle. It's a little bit of pay it forward and so forth. So with that, audience members, in this topic of multi-generational living, multi-generational housing, I don't know, for those of you watching and or listening to today's episode, whether you come from a culture where, like ours, it's more common. If it's not, I think, as Warren touched upon, what is certainly happening more so now than ever before is we're caught in what is called the sandwich generation, right? At some point, you have to consider solutions and alternatives to caring for aging loved ones, as well as the children that depend on you. So, with all of that said, let me bring up and share with you, Warren, what I found. It's a very new construction, multi-unit property. It's this one here, right off of 24th Street, right there in the heart of Chinatown. Um, this certainly seems to be a good candidate, right, for multi-generational living.
Yes.
And it's brand new. You can't beat that.
Yes.
You can't beat that. So for all of you watching today's episode, if you know a little bit about the South Loop, Chinatown, Bridgeport, when it comes to multi-unit properties that are new construction, there's not a whole lot of them. So when I came across this one available on the market, I thought it to be quite interesting. So with all of that said, for those of you watching Warren and myself today in this episode of Real Living in Bridgeport, how can you get in touch with Warren and myself to start a conversation about the two things we talked about today, whether to buy new construction, whether to renovate an existing property, and or very common in our culture, multi-generational housing. It's real simple. All you need to do is simply scan the QR code that you see here for Warren and also myself. If you need to have a conversation around financing, how to use other people's money to make this next step a reality for you, and we'll gladly engage you in a process, the conversations around how to move you to that next chapter. So with all of that said, Warren, like I teased everyone and talked about at the start of today's conversation, it was the 20-degree drop, right, compared to yesterday for both of us.
Right.
Yeah. So, hey, the start of fall. How'd your kids make out with trick-or-treating? Did they get you all of the treats that you wanted?
So I'm like a little under the weather, so I would not prefer any candy, but they did get a lot of candy from trick-or-treating or treats.
Yeah, good to know. Good to know. So with all of that said, audience members, we're going to close out today's episode, Warren and I, and we will see you in the next episode of Real Living in Bridgeport. So let's get our music posse to play us out. Here we go.